Hello and welcome to session one for Free from the Yoke Rokugan, which sounds weird. So it's going to take me a second to explain exactly what we're playing, what we're doing today. Earlier this year, Tyler and Patrick and I and a couple of others had a chance to play Free from the Yoke, which is a Slavic low fantasy kind of stripped down adaptation of Legacy Life Among the Ruins, a really great generational PBTA RPG. And Free from the Yoke took a smaller kind of scale and had a more defined setting, had an oppositional figure that had sort of freed the land, and now the noble houses were kind of trying to get their power, but also having to respond to this arbiter's choices and so on. And it was really good. Like it's solid. It's a great game. I will recommend it highly. It's definitely now on my top 10 games. It takes everything I like about Legacy and tightens and improves it, and gives a narrow focus to it. As we were playing that, it occurred to me that the setting for Legends of Five Rings, which is about clans and houses, that maybe we could figure out a way to adapt that. And so I sat down and worked on that, figured out what kind of time frame might work for that. And that is what we're trying today. I've built it in a spreadsheet. I have to apologize to the players because almost everything is in the spreadsheet on the multitude of tabs that are on there. So that is a lot of info in there, but I'm hoping it's going to be useful. So my name is Lowell. I am the community manager for the Gauntlet gaming community. This is a community that does online gaming. We have a calendar app that supports that. You can find out more about that at gauntlet-rpg.com. We do games that a lot of indie story games, even some OSR stuff. We run these. We have a calendar. People can sign up for these games. We use safety tools for all these games. So if you're like, oh, safety tools are killing RPGs, then I suggest that you turn the video off right now, because we do it for all our games, and it's important to us. So what I'm going to do is go through the CATs, the sort of concept, aim, tone, subject matter, the sort of layout of what the game is about pretty quickly. And then we're going to talk a little bit about samurai fiction and then safety. So the pitch is that in the L5R universe, the big key thing that occurs in sort of the first arc of the CCG is that the Shadowlands, this terrible force outside, led by Fulang, attacks the Empire. There's all this chaos. There was one of the clans betrayed the Emperor before this. There's all kinds of clan wars and a mess. Basically, our big outside evil supernatural force corrupts the Empire. The clans get to infighting, and it's only through the actions of some heroes to bring the Empire to order, and then to go out into what is called the Second Day of Thunder, and they travel out into the Shadowlands and defeat this evil. The corruption and darkness of Shadowlands is still there, but the big force that was pushing in is gone. But the line of the Hantai, the line of the Emperor, which descends from the sort of celestial order of the kami that fell from the heavens, he's dead. And so we have one of the heroes named Toturi, who was from the Lion Clan, who had been thrown out of the Lion Clan, but managed to re-honor himself in the process of this. He becomes the new emperor. And so in our game, he's the figure who is sort of the arbiter figure in this setting. The other clans then have to figure out what their relationship is to this new imperial government, which still has a great deal of control. What's their relationship to one another? Because many of these clans have been fighting against one another. Many of them have been very badly hurt by the battles that have gone on. So we're going to have 4 players doing 4 of the clans, and then we'll have the other major clans will be NPC clans, and then there'll be some other minor clans that are out there. So that's the basic pitch. And our aim today is to kind of explore the political side of this Legends of the Five Rings setting, like what really happens in the aftermath when we have these politics and things going on. How do people start using their previous roles? How do they change them around? And exploring what that is, because we're going to be moving between our house level, our clan level, and then down to our personal level. Everyone will have a clan, and everyone will have a character from that clan. And that character may change over time because we're going to be rolling forward generationally. So our subject matter is politics. It's about power. It's about restoration. It's about distribution of resources. It's about what authority means. Those are all things that roll into the kinds of subjects that we're going to be dealing with. Our tone is relatively serious. This is not grimdark. We've got the Shadowlands out there. They're pretty nasty, and if you go out there, they're really gross. But this is a game that has a somewhat serious tone, and we have our characters that are kind of pushing against one another. That's always a tone thing. There is some jockeying for position, jockeying for control, and there are some mechanisms for dealing with PvP, player versus player battles in this. In the last Free from the Yoke game, it came down to Patrick battling it out with another player for control of things, and let us say that was a wondrous turn of events, and Tyler's character claim was not as successful at the end game of that. So that's the general thing, and we'll play around. The four of us have all played together before, and Scott Ryder will be joining us in session 2. We've played with before, so you'll see us stopping and maybe talking about how we want to handle the tone throughout. To supplement that, of course, we're going to have safety tools. We're primarily using a layered set of 3 things. We're using lines and veils. All of you could see that I've got the lines and veils in the first tab of our character keeper. So you can go through and mark anything you want on that. We'll, of course, be supplementing that with the X card for things that pop up that we haven't dealt with, or for things that we're like, okay, this feels off tone or anything like that. That can be done in our usual ways of verbally doing a gesture, things like that. And then lastly, if things get too intense, there's always the open door if you need to step away from the table, if you need to exit out. Like when we played Free from the Yoke, we had a player who discovered, I think, session 2, that game wasn't for them, and they said, "I'm gonna move along," and they don't have to justify themselves, don't have to explain. That's how it works, because we're adults, and we're adults not because we don't talk about things. We're adults because we do talk about things and have these tools. Crazy. A few things I want to say, and I've sent this in the emails to the players beforehand, and it's something that I want to reinforce, especially for those of you watching at home. L5R is deeply problematic. Legends of the Five Rings is deeply problematic. There are earlier editions and even later editions on a lot of different levels. If you look at the artwork, you're like, wow, a lot of those people look very, very Caucasian. And that happens a lot across some of the art designs. It's also a setting which has mashed together like dozens of Asian cultures across dozens of different time periods and smashed them together into one big Cuisinart melange. And that's not great. But we're playing with the setting with those things in place. 2 things that are important to consider is one of the common things in samurai games and fantasy Oriental games. I'm doing that air quotes deliberately because Oriental Adventures is a terrible thing. But there's a fetishization of this idea of honor, that honor is everything, that honor is a real physical thing in the world. No. Honor is a tool used by institutions to manipulate people. It is a tool in this setting used for political ends. Each clan uses it in a different way. Each clan tweaks it to carry out their approach to something. How they define honor speaks to how they believe power happens and how they use that as a tool. Honor is also a system that is used to keep down, to maintain the status quo and to keep the lower classes down. Related to that, of course, is this idea of the celestial order, with, you know, the emperor and then the samurai and then with the hymen, and we get the Edda at the bottom. That's another, it's not a real system. It might be one that the gods said, hey, yeah, that is, but it's not a real system. It is a system of control. And in our game, that's the way we're approaching that. That we recognize that these are all architectures to maintain that status quo. I would recommend to anyone who's really curious about this, Asians Represent is currently doing a read through of the newest core book for Legend of the Five Rings. They have it, they don't have it on a podcast, but they're streaming it, and they do have it on YouTube, and they're working through the book. And if you're curious about any of these topics about Orientalism, about how Asian cultures get represented in RPGs, I recommend that you check that out. We are going to do our best to be respectful. We are going to fail from time to time, but we're going to do our best with all of these things in mind. So with that all out of the way, Sherry, why did you pick the Crab Clan?
I picked the Crab Clan because we've been playing L5R and variations of it for, gosh, the last, I guess it's 20 years now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I've just always played a Crab Clan person, and I choose a different family each time and sort of a different theme that I play through. So this time it will be the Haruma.
Okay, that would be your central thing. Yeah, you could start with them, and you may cycle through different members from the different families. We'll see.
No, that would put me off schedule.
And Tyler, what made you choose the Crane Clan?
Crane is a very Tyler sort of clan. It is, they're the talkers, they're the sneaks, they're the manipulators. They deal with this idea of style, sometimes over substance. But that's a very Tyler sort of clan. And I also like that despite the kind of opinion of them as effete artistes, they are amazing duelists. And to turn, to disregard a Crane in a duel is to your detriment. We are quite capable of killing.
Absolutely. And then Patrick, less familiar with the L5R setting, but what made you choose Unicorn?
Well, unicorns for one.
Okay.
There's always a hope there might be a real unicorn in here somewhere. But more seriously, I like them because of the description of them being like sort of the outsider clan. They had spent much of the last 1,000 years outside of the mainlands, traveling through foreign cultures. And even though they've been back for like 2 centuries, people still view them as the outsiders who don't know anything about here. So as someone who doesn't know a lot about the setting, that felt like a safer place to approach it from. I also just liked what you did with the playbook. I've seen in Legacy stuff various different iterations of the like horse clan or the sort of like transport focused house. But I just liked the sort of combinations of moves in this one. I thought it looked appealing.
Excellent. So what we're going to do is, the first thing we're going to do is what is called in the thing, if you'll turn to the clan playbooks tab, the ancient past. And what we're going to do is you're going to set some landmarks. We're going to do that, I think, last. You're going to pick a set of stats for your family, and you're going to pick a set of customs for your family. And so if you guys want to go ahead and make those picks about stats and customs, then we'll go and do the landmarks on the map page, and we'll talk about what that is. And if anyone has any questions,
still need permission to get to the map, though.
oh, let me do that then. Let me grab that, share. Because between the time I did this and the time that they changed how they did permissions on it. So, okay, so let me copy this link. Here is the map link as well. But yeah, go ahead and make those choices for your clan, and then we'll do the marking on the maps, and I'll talk about how I had to cut the map in half to get it to fit.
Always have to go and look up what the different stats do because they're opposite of what I think they would be.
The clan moves tab has
Yes.
the rundown too.
Yes.
And we are going ahead and putting in our customs. Is that right?
Yeah. Go ahead and for that, pick out your customs and your stats, and then we'll do the landmarks.
Ooh, I like how you did the stats because it determines what things have been going on. Ooh, ooh, all right. This game just got better.
I like the stat lines because I looked at it and I was like, oh, well, that was the family name I chose, so that's my stat line.
Nice.
I'm going to shift the tabs a little bit. I just realized I need clan playbooks be next to the clans tab and characters next to the character tab. Makes more sense.
Okay. And it's not like there's a list of family daimyo. You just make the name up, right?
Yep.
Okay.
That's why Patrick's
There's a name list.
fluff generator is too awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, if you choose the
I'm
clan,
going
it
full fluff.
keeps it limited to the family names, which is cool.
I'm going to step away for like literally a minute. Be right back. I like that all of you found character pictures like the first thing.
Pinterest is apparently filled with Legend of the Five Rings fans.
Oh, yeah.
And it is us, Lowell. I mean, come
Yeah,
on. You
true,
knew.
true.
That one of yours, Patrick, is badass. That's a nice picture.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Sherry, you can put your customs in the custom section there as you make those picks.
I can put them where? In the customs section?
On the clan tab,
Yeah,
it says rule, other CSAs, and we are.
I don't see it.
On the clans tab, if you
Yes.
scroll down past the surpluses and the influence, you'll see a section that says customs.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay,
Yeah.
so rule, that's where that goes. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
For some
No,
reason, it just didn't call to me.
No, I should have been clearer about that. It's me.
Oh, and since this is Asian, Japanese, whatever, are we anglicizing name order?
No, we they have it always written as the more conventional. So Shinju, Miho, or Doji Nasoki.
Gotcha. So last name first.
Yes. So while doing that, I'm going to screen share. To do that, I have to go. Ah, there we go. Right in the middle.
Big thunder.
So as you'll see here, as I'm sharing the screen, this is our Google map. The Rokugani map is very vertical, which doesn't work great because Google Drawings doesn't allow you to scroll. It's a very odd thing. But I wanted to give us plenty of space to write in things and so on. So the map section that's on the left, obviously, is the northern part of the map. And then the map section that's on the right is the southern part of the map. Some of the features have been named, like the Spine of the World Mountains. I left that on there. Shinneman Mori is the big woods. And then on the southern part, on the right-hand side, you'll see that sort of line of dots. That is the Carpenter Wall. That's the big wall. Things that are on the other side of that to the west is where the Shadowlands are. So the only thing that's set in terms of where the geography is that the crab are on the east side of that wall. Tyler, you can set wherever you want the Crane Clan to be, along the coast. And the same thing for you, where you want the unicorn to be at now, whether it's coming in, in the northeast, or if it's just above Shinamori, or if they've come over the mountains into someplace in the valley. It's up to you how you want to do that when we go here to mark these things. So, Tyler, I am going to start with you on these location things. So, and Patrick's going to help you.
I would hope so.
We're going to have you mark 3 of your holdings. Essentially, show us where the Asahina, where 3 of the family steads are, and then you'll pick one of those 3 landmarks to put on the map.
Okay. Well, Patrick, are you going to be a sweetie and put my things on for me? Okay. Then if we look on the left side map, at the southern point there, you'll see there's 2 lakes surrounded by the mountains. I would like one of my holdings to be between the 2 lakes on the east side of the little connecting river right up underneath the mountain.
Gotcha.
The other I would like at the river's mouth on the coast, coming away from that.
So there for the first one?
Yes.
Nice.
And then where for the second?
Where that river that comes off the lake goes to the ocean.
Uh-huh.
I want a port city there where the river meets the sea.
North or south side of the river?
Let's do the right there where that little isthmus is to the south.
So there?
Yes. Lovely. And then Lowell, remind me, just so I'm right, the where the left map meets the right map, that river that comes down from the north, that is actually the river that's on the west side of the mountains on the left map, right?
Yeah, it comes from the 2 lakes, comes down through the mountains, and then continues on down on the.
Does it come off those 2 lakes? Is it not there?
So I'm reading from top to bottom. So yeah, it comes out of the mountains on the midpoint of the left-hand side, and then travels down.
Arrows connect, yes?
Those arrows connect, yep. Exactly.
Okay, excellent. Okay. Then I would like my 3rd settlement to be, feel like staying fairly centralized. So let's put it to the northwest of the upper lake there, in that space between the river and the mountains.
Oh, okay.
Kind of where that little back and forth knobbly bit comes just out of the lake, on the mountainside there, on the mountainside of the river.
No, like there.
Yep, perfect.
That's how I know you're married, because you understood all that. So what do you want as the landmark that you want to put on the map? Well, I'll let you go in and put the text in for which of those are your family's Doji Kakita, but we've got 3 choices. What is it that you want to have as the landmark that has come from ancient times that is really important?
The fantastic gardens of the crane, envy of all clans.
And where do you want that to be?
I want that to be in that probably where that central city between the 3 is, between the lakes.
Mm-hmm.
It probably is there, on that mountain between the lakes.
Okay.
That seems right, fair?
That seems fair.
Okay.
And I'll have you put in, you can type in the name for the
Right.
Fantastical Gardens. Sherry, let me come to you now. In much the same way, you're going to mark 3 of your family holdings, and you're going to pick one of these landmarks to put on the map there.
Okay, so on that map, orient me to where the Shadowlands are on it.
Sure, absolutely. I'm going to, if you go to the right-hand side of the 2, you'll see that thing that looks like dots with lines connecting.
Yeah, that's the wall.
That's the wall. I would say that if you how do I describe this? That space between the lower mountains and the middle mountains, you have that space, and it actually kind of a little bit goes over to the coast. That's the Shadowlands.
Okay, so on the far side of...
Yeah, let me do this. This may actually help. I'm going to briefly, where's the scribble? Okay, I'm going to scribble here for a second. So yeah, that space though, I've taken it too far over, but where I've put the squiggle there.
All right then.
Yeah. And then I'm going to select and delete that. Delete.
So it's sort of that stuff that's between the in that mountain.
Yeah, in that mountain range and off.
Okay. So I think that let's see here. Oh, dang it, I haven't done this in such a while. Let's see what I can find. Shapes. And I'm going to go that this is here is actually, let's see, do I have to name them or describe them or something?
Well, basically, we want to know where 3 sort of the centers of 3 of your families are. Like, so
Okay.
if that's Yasuki, you can just say like Shiro Yasuki or.
Yeah, it's Yasuki, and it's because it has that access to the sea and the rivers and essentially the ability to travel along there.
Okay.
So that's sort of their main thing. They like that place. I think that you're going to have I think that there's always the point of pride. Oh God, you got to select the shape over again each time. Ugh. Why is it not default? Okay, and then this one, which would be like what you would call the sort of army, like the main place where that is, like where the forces are dispersed from and the main command group are going to be. And then
So is that like the holdings of Hida or Haruma?
yeah, it's probably Haruma
Okay.
is how it's treated. And then and this is because again, we have they do often pick up and move things, so their stuff is never as built and storied and beautiful. They use and reuse settlements. And then up here, close enough to the front to be respectable, but far enough away to be a little bit safer, is probably where the Hida and the court is.
And then what of the landmarks do you want to put on the thing?
I think that we're going to say that they kind of have come out of a bad season where they have had to pick up and move and shift things around the wall and all of that stuff. So I do think that the thing that they have is that right now it's the jade mine that they've like pulled back because they need that to fight and not grow sick.
Okay. So go ahead
So-
and
Find a shape for a
so
mine.
actually we're choosing landmarks from the ancient past, the three that are up there.
Oh, I am. Oh, I'm sorry.
We'll get to the other ones in a bit.
Okay. I picked the wrong group of landmarks.
It's okay.
Let's see, sir. The ancient. Oh, okay. Mark 3 of your family holdings. Okay. The keep, the trade crossroads where anything can be bought, and Shinsei's last hope. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So it would be like a sacred site
Mhm.
in the ancient past when the heroes, they're called the Thunders, went out into the Shadowlands, including some of the Kami, fought Fulang. Of those that came back, that would be the place where they were first spotted.
Okay. Then I think that is one of those places that's always the most fought over. And probably there's sort of a tacit agreement that they don't go to the Empire ever to ask like formally unless that is in danger.
Okay.
So I want to put it pretty close to the front.
Sure.
If only I can decide what shape is good for Sensei's last hope. Someone used all the beautiful call outs for it. I will. I guess. Dang it. I got it. I know what I want. If only I can get it to click. Okay. And I will put that. I'm going to slide it here. And it lies right there.
Okay.
It's always too close to the front.
All right. And I'll go ahead and put in the text for you on that.
Okay.
Patrick, where do you want the unicorn to be at?
So I sort of like this idea of them coming back into the land somewhere completely unexpected. So I think like 2 centuries ago, when they reemerged into the homelands, they just came out of these mountains to the very northwest, just wandered out of an unknown pass one day, and there were all these people with horses, and it made no sense to come out of a mountain, but I like it.
I like it.
So I have 3 places. I think one of them going to be like here, right in that little like sort of delta area between where all those rivers come together and that lake there.
Mm-hmm.
Think there's this nice big open plain here. So I got horse people, so we'll go out on the plain there with one of the families. What else looks like a chess knight move? It's you. And then just continue with the strange theme there. I think I'll put one here in these mountains. And so we have a clan that's, or a family that's developed some spry, sort of spindly-legged horses that are good at mountaining and rocks and stuff like that. And I'll figure out which one of those I want to take as my family's place. The Shinjo. One of them will be Moto, and I don't know what the third one will be yet.
Okay. And one of the things I'll do between now and next time is I'll get the little icons for the different clans and put them in the areas so you can see it. And I'll also put sort of where the, like, here's an icon to show generally where the lion are, dragon are, and so on.
Nice. So I like as a landmark the dried up spring where the clan first rested when they returned to Rokugan.
Oh, nice.
Sort of very watery area, but some of it is dried up. So let's say they came out of the mountains. That's a good water. Or I guess it's no longer water. So we'll go with this. So like right here at the foot of the mountains, there used to be like a spring that came up and maybe sent like another sort of tributary river down to that connection. But shortly after the family arrived in the lands, got their sucker there and sort of went forward, the spring itself sort of dried up. The path back to wherever they came from dried up, closed up behind them.
Excellent. So that gives us some starting things on the map. Now, the next thing we're going to decide what the emperor is like right now. And we've got three choices for that. We've got Emperor Toturi as the reluctant daimyo. Toturi's taken the throne, but he acts with caution and deliberation. The reluctance has been noted and the clans have continued infighting despite the need to unite. So that's one. Two, master of the masterless. During the clan war, Toturi formed a guerrilla army of Ronin to fight against the Shadowlands, and now in peacetime, many of those have risen to positions of great power. Or three, the Black Lion. The bloody battles leading up to the Day of Thunder took their toll on the emperor. He fought against former brethren, and Toturi is determined that will never happen again. Anyone have a strong feeling about what you would like to have as the emperor that you have to deal with?
I have no enormously strong feeling, except that it sounds like the middle one was the one we did last time.
That's true. So let's take that out. So either reluctant daimyo or the Black Lion. So he's either a figure of caution and deliberation or a figure of, say, stern and ruthless tactician. Patrick, Sherry?
The crab, let's see, tacticians have used them a lot, but that's what they respect as well. So they consider, that is part of their thing. Caution and deliberation probably isn't their strength, so I don't know.
What do you think, Patrick?
I sort of dig the emotional damage of the last one, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we have the Black Lion. Basically, the thing that then comes from that is when a house asks for military aid, they use favor. You roll that with advantage, like he wants to send military aid. However, if they plead for peace, you have to roll with disadvantage.
Ha ha. Ha, Crane. Ha ha ha.
So I'm going to note that on the clan's playbook. Let me see where we put that. And the form is the Black Lion. We'll get those notes in there. So now we've defined the arbiters. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the time of the void. That's that next section on the clan playbooks. In that, you're going to make some choices about your history. You'll see there are some questions there that you'll need to decide. And you'll also choose a landmark. Should we do the landmarks first, or do you want to answer those questions first? What do you think?
Answer the questions first.
Okay.
Yeah, which questions? Sorry.
So you'll see there are that we go under the time of void. We get the landmarks and then history, and then there's when the crab threw out the shackles. So you make a decision about those things. You'll see the history. The first question will give you a thing about how the emperor, how you interacted with Fulang in the Shadowlands, and that will affect your clan favor. And then the next three are about generating influence. So Tyler, let's start with the Crane clan. Here's the question: how did the Dark Emperor treat your clan? If they were persecuted or misspelled persecuted and thrown into civil war, you get to start with +1 favor. If they were favored servants used to bend the courts to the corrupt Hantai's whim, start with -1 favor, but you get 2 additional surpluses.
2 additional surpluses. Wow.
What do you think?
Both are awesome. They come from really cool places. But looking at the history thing there, that the landmark I'll get to put down, I think I'm going to choose that they were persecuted and thrown into civil war. So I'm going to start with the positive favor.
Let's answer everybody's history questions, and then we'll come back on the interaction things, because I think that'll help us give some color to that. Does that seem fair?
Mm-hmm.
Sherry, for the Crab clan, we say, when the crab threw out the shackles of the Shadowlands, how did they begin to fight? If they drew their forces together and led the charge on their own, take -1 favor, but gain surplus morale and order. If you joined with the rest of the clans and threw open your coffers, take +1 favor, but then you start with the need jade or metal.
See, and this is my thing, is just the crab, particularly if they've screwed up in dealing with the Shadowland, don't want anyone up in their business. So they are going to turn around and clean up as much of that as they can. So it is definitely that first one. Plus, what coffers? So,
yes. So you're going to take -1 favor. You'll mark that in, and you'll gain surplus morale and order.
Okay.
And then Patrick, for the Unicorn clan, how did you serve the Dark Emperor? If you fought against them as raiders or fugitives, you get +1 favor. If you obeyed until Fulang's presence became openly known, you start with -1 favor, but you get 3 surpluses.
So with the sort of customs picks that I made, I think they would have seen Fulang and this new faction coming into the world as something to upset the status quo, as something that would be helpful for them. So I think until they realized the full horror of what was going on, they supported the Shadowlands and Fulang's movements in.
So -1 favor, and you get to pick 3 surpluses that you start with.
3.
3. Which will then bring us back to our Crane Clan brethren. We're going to do those questions. If you wish to save one of those to connect with the Phoenix, or even with an NPC clan, you can do that. So Tyler, let's look at those 3 questions. Which one do you want to answer first of the 3?
Well, I think I'm going to start off by saying, especially since we have Crab and Unicorn as the 2 that are here, and I mean, Crane Clan has probably not got ancient marriage and blood with either one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to hold that one, I think, and
Okay.
probably have that for the Phoenix.
Yeah. Why don't you, let's do that in italics.
Okay.
And that'll tell us that's something we might come back. Okay. So then we ask the next question. This is not an influence question, but a more general question. What happened during the clan war and this battle against Fulang? What happened to change your lands, and what do you need to do to restore them to glory? What do you think happened?
I think that the river and the lakes were corrupted, and so it has led to we're in a big process of trying to clean up, and I think that part of that was the corruption of just the influence of the Dark Emperor. But I also think battles left dead bodies that floated down, and so there is a both physical and spiritual sort of uncleanness.
Absolutely. The Shadowlands taint is, and of course the dead bodies that couldn't be cleaned up, they become potential undead and so on, that taint the land. Yeah, that seems good. Then the last question is, which clan did you relentlessly strike at and purge at the behest of the Black Emperor? Give them influence over you.
Yeah, and I think that was Crab.
Okay. So Sherry, you may note that you have influence over the crane.
So I'm going to ask a question. How am
Yeah.
I supposed to mark that? You have this box called influence. It has this little check mark. It has a thing.
Influence is
You have one
is
or-
binary. It's on off.
Oh, okay.
Unlike legacy, I'm right about that, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
that's
changed to
new.
an on-off thing now.
Okay, that's why I was confused. I was like,
easier to track.
yeah, well, but also just as confusing as ever. So,
You only have one, and you can have it over and over again.
okay.
So then let's come to Sherry, and let's ask your history questions.
Okay.
So when the crab, we already decided that with that one, but let's look at the ones. Which clan's army did you rescue from the Shadowlands in an effort to demonstrate your return to the light?
You know, what I'm going to say is, because, and this is the thing is it's such a crab thing to do. They really have no sense of what would have influence outside. The influence that they wanted was to convince themselves. And I think that essentially who they aided was actually the Unicorn clan, who had gotten themselves mired and in trouble because they had mistaken the intent of Fulang. And so once we figured it out, then we went to assist them in extracting themselves and turning back against the Shadowlands.
Both of you may
Nice.
mark influence on one another.
Yeah.
And the next question is, which crab family was the first to realize the error of their alliance with the Shadowlands and turn against the daimyo? Say how they suffered as a result. Who was it?
The Haruma. And their numbers were decimated because that daimyo essentially marched them off into the worst parts of the land, put them into all of the most foolhardy and dangerous missions, and just essentially decimated their numbers.
I like it. And then the last one is, which family do you now rely on to be an effective trader? Say what they're supplying you and what gathering it cost them, and gain influence they gain influence on you. They say what is supplying. Now you could save that for the Phoenix, or you could offer it to one of the others, or you can offer it to the NPC family.
Oh, I guess it's an interesting thing to do the Phoenix, because I never think of them as a trading thing, but I guess
Maybe there's some resources that they
yeah,
have.
exactly. Like
Okay.
they had obtained, they had kept pure that others had managed not to. Sure. They
put
have
that,
influence over me, so we'll put it right here. Crab.
Okay.
That will mark it. My
Excellent.
sacrificial self.
Let's come to the unicorn. Which clan did you feud with before the time of void? If you put your grudges aside to fight the greater foe, gain influence on each other. If you continued raiding them in the midst of the conflict, they get influence on you.
I mean, I think it's got to be the Crane. They're just so opposite of us. They're so like stuck and mired in that whole courtly honor thing. It's just, ugh.
There's the Mean Girls.
Did you put aside your grudges, or did you continue to poke at them?
I think the shame of having backed Fulang and having to be rescued by another one of the clans, I think that sort of settled down our grudge, and we worked with them to fight.
So in that case, then you have influence on each other. So during this whole time of this battle against the darkness, the Shadowlands, during this recent years, what techniques did you learn from the Yobanjan and outsiders? These are the sort of real barbarians that live outside the empire. What did you learn from them, and how did that change your clan?
So I think sort of like 2 levels of influence. The very sort of mundane influence is the different breeds of horses
Okay.
they brought in from outside lands. I imagine there's this very like imperial perfect form of a horse that all of the horses in the land have slowly been bred to. And they have these sort of wild barbarian lines of like big Clydesdale type horses and these weird spindly horses that they've used to go through the mountains and stuff like that.
Nice.
I think what really helped in the fight though was the magics, the sort of like rituals and profane ceremonies that they brought in from the outside land that brought an element of surprising magic to Fulang and the Shadowlands. They were set to fight against the magics of the land, and here come the unicorns with some rituals that are just foreign to them.
Nice. And then the last question is, which clan has never looked down on you for your history? It can be one of the PC clans, or it can be one of the NPC clans. We have the Mantis, the Dragon, and the Scorpion, and the Lion, who are the best clan. And then of course we also have the Phoenix.
I think I'll save that one for the Phoenix.
Okay.
Unless he comes in with a really different take on him, I could see the Phoenix like respecting the new magical knowledge that they brought in.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll put that in italics so we can make that decision. So let's swing back. Tyler, what new landmark do you want to add to the map from that list under Time of the Void?
Battlefield where the Daimo's evil duplicate was unmasked.
Ooh.
That's the civil war that the Dark Emperor we went through.
So where is that battlefield then, you think?
That battlefield is just, it is in that loop of the river of the North Lake on the eastern side. kind of across the river from Kakita.
Okay.
And are you putting something in, Patrick, or should I?
But I'm sorry, I'm writing things for what's.
Then I'll put something in.
Just drop a symbol in there, and then we'll put the name in. Sherry, what do you want as your landmark from that Time of the Void? I know you kind of mentioned it earlier. So you still want to go with the Jade Mine?
Yeah, I do think that was the thread that led us back in some ways.
And where is that Jade Mine? Go ahead and put that on the map.
Okay. Sorry, trying to decide what's the best thing for a. This is hard. I think that it sits here.
All right. And then you can give us a name for that Jade Mine.
Was there like a god of the sea?
I'm sure there is.
But it's not off. Okay.
Not
So,
off the top of my head.
I want the sense that it's like the jade is like there's something about it that's very much like it was like the mines were underwater for a long time. So maybe something like salt rime.
Suitengo is the fortune of the sea.
Ooh, how about Sweet Tango's gift?
Okay.
Okay. Essentially that mine is very much like everything about it smells like the sea when you're down there, and the jade kind of has that sort of like lapping water pattern in it.
I like that. And then Patrick, what would you like as your pick for the landmark from that?
So, I think I might want to go with the place where the lost of the Moto decimated their former brethren, but
Ooh.
that is too far outside of my knowledge of the setting to understand.
Oh, so the Lost, when the unicorn first arrived here into the lands, they kind of didn't understand what the Shadowlands were. And some of the Moto thought that this was just another foe that they could fight. And so a bunch of them went into the Shadowlands, and they were not seen again until they returned as horrible, corrupted figures known as the Lost that march in the nightmares of the rest of their clan.
Okay, I love every part of that.
I know. I
Even
thought
their
you might.
horses have nightmares.
Yeah.
Even their horses have nightmares.
Where's a good place? Let's put something right in the mountains there. So I think right here, sort of in the spine of the World Mountains, as they were coming up and crossing over there, that's where we encountered them.
Excellent.
We'd heard something about them coming up, and the Moto went out proudly to get rid of these corrupted inferior versions of themselves, and it went very badly.
Excellent. So we've got the next step. We'll do one more set of questions. These are what are called flashpoints. And I'm going to make some statements, and you can say, "Ooh, I think that's my clan." If nobody picks it up, we can like put a parentheses on it and see if the Phoenix wants it, or if we want to assign that to an NPC clan. But you can have more than one. We just don't take a second one until the other two people have already taken one, is how the thing works. So I'm going to read through these. So the flashpoint starts with foundation, and the question is you were the first clan who recognized Toturi, and that his army could offer hope. Was that one of you that figured that out?
It's interesting.
What you think? Do you like it?
I think that it would be interesting, particularly if you have it that it's the Haruma that were the ones who brought them in, because they knew something. I mean, they knew how wrong things were. And
So
then,
let me ask you this. This is the follow-up question that you then answer is,
okay.
we set that as the crab. How did the emperor convince you to join? How did Toturi convince the Haruma and therefore the crab to join in on this crusade? What did they offer?
Yeah, what did they offer? I think they offered respect. Like when Totori came, Totori knew he needed that expertise.
Offered respect despite your clan having done all these terrible things?
Mm-hmm.
The possibility, okay.
Like understood that within there was a core of people who had not swayed, who had not been lost.
And then the question I have to answer is, was the emperor faithful to his promises? And I think that not as much as you would have liked. I think that there still has to be some people that, get punished. And I think that the crab probably got more punishment on that score than they think is reasonable. Does that seem fair?
Sure.
And then the next one is collateral. The question is, you were the first clan to suffer at the hands of the corrupted Hantai. So essentially, there was an emperor during this time, and he was corrupted by Fulang and sat on the throne, and he was throwing the empire into chaos, and he was horrible and terrible. And who was the first clan who suffered at that figure's hands? I see Tyler kind of smiling there. Do you think that's the crane?
No, I was seeing if Patrick wanted to jump on it, because I don't think it was me. Now
Is it one more time? Sorry.
So you were the first clan to suffer at the hands of the corrupted Hantai. Like when the emperor was corrupted and started his reign of terror, this was the first clan that they struck at, that they manipulated things against. And we can certainly put a pin in it and offer it to an NPC or to the Phoenix if you want, if that doesn't necessarily grab you.
And see it happening to the Phoenix.
And the corrupted emperor, is this after Fulang, or is this like the coming of Fulang?
The corrupted emperor actually is Fulang. Nobody realized it for a long time. The previous emperor had been killed, and there was this boy emperor. And over time, people began to realize, oh my gosh, something's gone wrong with him, and then it became revealed at the very end that in fact it was Fulang.
Thanks, Scorpion. Oh, sorry.
I could definitely see that for the unicorn. They were sucked in and supporting him, and they have this great fall with the Moto family. So I think that fits in.
So what was the greatest loss that the Dark Emperor, that Fulang, inflicted on your family?
So I think it was in that corruption of the Moto, but more specifically from that, it was good lord.
Thunder?
Yeah. It was, there was like the elderly daimyo of the Moto family, and it was basically all of his descendants that were in that party that was corrupted and turned and had to be killed. And so it was just a cut off of their generational power. It threw their family into chaos.
So maybe it was that the emperor said to the Moto, you need to go and fight against your brethren. We need them dealt with, and kind of sent you into a trap.
Yeah.
And then the GM says, how did Toturi exploit this tragedy? I think that Toturi found the lost blade, like the lost katana of the Moto family, and essentially kind of was like, you need to come, we've got this, and use that to get leverage.
So like something from way back before they left the Imperial lands?
Yeah, like the lost ancestral katana.
Nice. I like that.
Hey.
Because so much of their part of their otherness and barbarianness that I liked is that they use these weapons of outsiders. They use these crude weapons, and they've taken them on as their own. But this symbol of what you used to be, the purity of your clan, that sort of thing, would be a very big draw.
Excellent. Yeah, well, actually, right, it is like the last katana of the Unicorn clan as a whole. The next one is Carnage, or Carnage, depending on whether you're playing Tailspin or not. You moved to counter the tainted forces, but found no glory, only bloodshed and death. Tyler, do you want that for the crane, or should we put a pin in that one?
Let's put a pin in that one. I just don't see us going and being fighty.
Okay,
We're fighting each other already, ourselves already.
So I'm going to put these question marks here. Oh, look at that puppy who's a little upset by the thunder.
Yeah,
she does not like outside thunder.
Yeah.
Coming to get us. She can tell it. Barbarians, they're at the gates.
But she's okay with inside thunder?
She doesn't mind anything that comes off the TV.
Yeah, exactly. She's a smart puppy.
After the break, I'll have Sherry tell you the dog thunder story that she knows from her growing up. So the next one we've got, another question is Victory. You played a major role in the Emperor's victory in the final siege of Otosan Uchi, essentially when Toturi besieged the great capital. You played a major role in that. Do you think that's you for the crane?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well.
Yeah, because they just had to write up that last day and throw their banners around. Everyone knows.
Oh, look, we're just nearby.
Yeah.
So the question is, how did your clan find glory in this final battle?
I think that as Toturi was, the walls began to fall, and Toturi is moving through to take the actual corrupt the Black Emperor down. Dark Emperor, which is it?
The Dark Emperor, Black Emperor,
Whatever.
Fulang.
Fulang, to take him down. That the Shadow Champions came forth, and it was the Crane duelists that challenged them and made the way open so that Toturi could go to take on the big problem, the big bad.
Absolutely. So Crane duelists. And the GM says, what sacrifice did Tory make to allow the Seven Thunders to finally defeat Fulang? And I think that's going to be that he sent the daimyo of the Kakita, essentially the duelists, in to what would be clearly going to be his death. Does that seem fair?
Yes, yes. We will suffer for glory.
To his death. Okay. Two more. Coronation. As the conflict came to a close, your clan started agitating for Toturi to retain power. Is it any of you or an NPC clan? What do you think?
Say that again?
As the conflict came to a close, your clan started agitating for Toturi to retain power.
I can see mine doing that. Unless somebody else wants to jump on it.
No, it totally, it makes sense to me because you figured out that was the way to go. You sacrificed
we
one
hitched-
guy and then
We hitched our wagon, and
Yeah.
you got to make it worthwhile.
Why did you choose to act as kingmaker?
After having really not done well, not shown well by fighting ourselves, and eventually, we did rebel against the false daimyo, but we really had not shown ourselves well, and we knew that Toturi would have some feeling of appreciation, or we hoped he would have some feeling of appreciation that we went in and did this. So basically, it was the math worked out best for us. He would retain control, and there might be some favor owed to us.
And I think that you came in and as an established clan and did this, but the Mantis, who hadn't been a great clan, they were a minor clan and were trying to raise themselves up, that you stomped all over them in doing this. And I think that they bear a deep and abiding grudge against you.
Oh, well.
Oh, well, he says.
Sometimes you gotta crack a few eggs, and Mantis lay a lot.
Yeah. The last one is compliance. As the land settled into peacetime, a threat within your holdings led you to seek the Emperor's help. Unicorn, Crab, either of you want that?
I can see it, unless you have an idea, Sherry.
At this point, I will say no. I will let you go for it if you have a seed of an idea. I mean, there's some reasons that I might, but if you've got something, that would definitely be more interesting.
What did you need help fighting off after the fall of Fulang? Was it invaders, rebels, monsters, rival clan? What?
I'm always tempted by monsters, but I think I'm going to go invaders.
Okay.
I think when we were out desperately seeking foreign heretical magics to fight against Fulang, we didn't always ask for them. And so some clan, some outsider force came seeking retribution or seeking the magic back, something like that.
And the question is then, what bloodshed resulted as the emperor used the tools of war in the aftermath of the war against Fulang? And I think it's that when Toturi sent people in to deal with these invaders, perhaps wasn't as discriminating about who were invaders and who were just unicorn who had learned some of these techniques.
Mm.
Does that seem fair?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, no, it doesn't seem fair at all. It's the opposite of fair. But yeah, it's like, oh, and that's hard because it's like tragedy on top of tragedy after the Moto clan, and we had to debase ourselves to go ask for help with this in the first place, and then it all just blows up. Oh, that's awful.
Excellent. Let's take
An
a break
example
here.
for the other clans.
Yeah, an example. Crab practicality. So let's take a break, and when we'll come back, we'll do the next section of the clan stuff.
Okay.
Okay. When Sherry comes back, I'll have her tell you that story briefly.
Uh-huh. Yes, fireworks and thunder are not our poor puppy's friend.
Our cats are pretty good about that.
Oh, our cat could care less.
Yeah. We had cats before that did not care for that, but Sherry, would you tell them the story about the thunder and the dog?
Okay, so when I was growing up, we were very, how should I say, free range kids. We ran around in the mud and the dirt, and my dad had like a 1/4 acre garden, and
You
we're
want to turn
down
your
in that.
AC off.
And the other thing is that like when it rained and stuff.
Sherry, we can't hear you because the AC is eating the sound.
I know. I just stopped it. So, so when I was a kid, we were very free range. We played outside, lots of mud, lots of dirt. Just didn't care. Essentially, my mom would hose us off before we came in the house most nights because we just like played really hard. And one of the things is when it rained, this was terrific because we lived on a dead-end street and there were sort of these ditches along the side, and we would run through them back and forth as they filled up with water. And this was like awesome fun, right? And everything. And so we were very like, oh, I'm not afraid of the rain. I'm not afraid of a little thunder or lightning. And my dad also was always like, when there was thunder and lightning, he would go out on the porch and sort of, we would just all watch it and everything. So I think I was about 12, and we were standing out there, and we had this dog named Cindy, and she was not the smartest mutt, but she was super companionable. Like everywhere you went, she was going to be with you. So my dad and I are standing outside, and it's raining, thundering, lightning. But we're not afraid of this. Dad really actually turns to me and says, I've never really been afraid of lightning. And I'm like, me neither. And the dog is standing right there between us. And we're a good ways away from the house, but we're standing at the end of the road there. And not more than 20 seconds later, there's a lightning strike at the end of the road. I mean, like it hits right there, right? We're not more than 25 feet away. It's how it felt. I mean, I can't say that it is. It's that you see the streak of light and it's like brighter than anything. And it's, and there's like, there's like a line left on your eye from where it was, kind of thing. We didn't say a word. It was like this absolutely silent thing where we turned and fled, and all three of us got to the door to the house at the same time, and it was like the Keystone Cops where we're stuck in the door trying to get through. The dog and myself. We never said a thing until we got it. And then we sort of like laughed, snorted, and went, oh my God. So yeah, that was... and the dog was like right there with us every step of the way. Didn't run faster than this, didn't run slower, was right there wedged in between our legs when we were trying to get in there. So, yeah.
So the last step we're going to do is after the Day of Thunder. So after all of this went down, we'll do one more round of landmarks at the end of this. But here's what you're going to pick. You're going to pick a doctrine for your family. That's going to give you an ability. You're going to pick one of the features of your family. You're going to pick your resources for your family, which will define your surpluses and needs. You can write down your inheritance and your alliance move. Don't worry about your assets right now. You can decide those on the fly as we go on. They're the things that are kind of detailing and stuff. Don't worry about them right this second. And then you'll pick your 2 moves. So I want to give you a chance, let you go through those, make those picks, and then we'll go around and have you tell us about those, and then we'll add that last bit of landmarks. And that'll be the end of sort of the clan thing. While you're doing that, I'm going to make some decisions for the Emperor. There's some choices that I make during the course of this that I'll introduce when all of you are done. If anyone has any questions about any of those things, give me a shout.
I have a question.
Absolutely.
On the clan playbooks tab, under the Unicorn Clan, the landmarks after the Day of Thunder,
Mm-hmm.
the second one, the Oasis there, the Oasis where the families gathered to decide how they would what Fulang?
Oh, face.
Ah.
They were going to fave him. They were going to give him a thumbs up. And
They're like, yeah, man. Good job being all evil and crap.
No one does it better.
Cool, thank you.
how they would cancel him, you know.
Look, we're all just going to stop following him. We're going to deplatform him. And really, we're going to use some...
Made all Crane's features so good I can't decide.
Some tasty ones in there.
So we always get our alliance move, and then we choose 2 others, correct?
Yeah. And actually, above where it says the influence thing, you can actually put your alliance move in that little space because it's a thing that triggers gaining influence. So you might find that useful to put there.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
Oh, no, I didn't. I only noticed it when I looked back at it just a minute ago.
Right.
I'm sorry, what was just said?
Oh, so each you get an alliance move, and you don't put that with your regular moves. Actually, you know where it shows influence? There's a little space that says alliance move. If you drop the cut and paste in there, it makes it easier to reference.
Gotcha. Cool.
And I'll mention something. This is something we kind of alluded to at the start of the game about the question of honor, dishonor, and stuff in this. We do have a condition in the mechanics that I've written is of dishonor, and that is very much. I should like roll back here. If you want a good analogy for how honor is used in Rokugan, think of how patriotism is used as a concept today. In different groups use it in different ways. We have a dishonored status that characters can fall into. Basically, that means that they're on the outs with society, that they've been cut off. I mean, they've been isolated. And there are means and moves to get yourself back in and remove that stain of dishonor. When a character is dishonored, they are more vulnerable to social upheaval and social hard moves and things like that. So that is what dishonored means in the context of this game. Sherry, are you made your choices? Should I have you tell us about what you decided on?
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yes,
before we
absolutely.
get to that?
Yeah.
In Golden Republic, in the Crane Clan, the last option there, you have written one more.
I guess we've just found an error in this thing.
Have you thought of something, or should I just not worry about the one more?
We'll figure something out. Now, if you take that one, then we'll add another one on. I think the reason I put one more is because the choices that were in that I was adapting from didn't work for that. So we'll figure something out for that if you decide to take that.
Okay, I'll hold off on it then, and we can talk about it maybe as
Sure.
something that'll switch to as things go. All right. Thank you.
So, Sherry, why don't you tell us about the choices that you've made here?
Okay, so let's see here. And we're starting at like, we've done influence and we want to talk about customs and things like
Yeah,
that,
why
right?
don't you run
Yeah.
through with the customs doctrine, your feature,
Right.
and then your moves,
Okay.
and what your surplus and needs are.
Oh, okay. So our surpluses currently are engineers, jade, morale, and order. My needs are fortifications, recruits, and trade.
Okay.
And trade is often a need because we immediately get back and turn it into other things. So um, we always need more than we have. So for our customs, our rule currently, in the aftermath, is that Hida Moriko is our cunning clan daimyo. She is weak, though, in her status because her rival is her twin sister, Kayu Yumiko. The Yusuki tend to break the ties on which command most influence at any one time. The thing that they always say is that the sisters love each other, but they love their clan more. And this is why there is this tug of war that goes back and forth. So that is their polite way. This is as polite as the crap will ever be about anything. So others see us as brutes who drain the empire's coffers because everything is in a state of rebuilding right now. That we are very much resented because, whenever we ask for anything. So we try not to. But we see ourselves as eternal soldiers who dispense with luxury and softness in order to take care of what matters here. So if that makes any sense.
Yep.
Now, mind you, these Suki are incredibly important to us, and they deal in luxury and softness to get what we need. So, there's all kinds of awesome hypocrisy there, but that's okay. Our doctrine is that we are always prepared for war. This means that the dangers of guarding the Shadowlands mean that we're always ready for war. We can use martial surpluses even if they're dispersed, whatever that means. I assume that it's like if we send some forces to help someone, we can still call upon them for something else because we have more of them.
Surpluses are either dispersed, meaning it takes a move to get them together, or they're in a location, which means they're vulnerable to being attacked.
Okay.
So anything that you would define as a martial surplus, you get to say, well, it's all over the place, but I can call it in at a moment's notice.
Yeah, that's what the wall is for, right? And then our feature is a clan apart. No one truly understands the duty of the crab. We're so long suffering. And so, so long as you look for answers within your community, you read the wind with advantage.
Okay.
We are insular when it comes to our decision making in a lot of ways because no one else understands.
And then the two moves that you chose.
Okay, so what I did is I said, that the clan were really broken up with this last situation, and I think that more than at any other time, the families are kind of shoulder to shoulder in power and influence in the clan. It is probably that greatest time of equity between the families, just because everything's needed and numbers were hit so hard. So I kind of set the thing, like made nods to different parts of the family. So we have this thing of endure. Our people who have been hardened by the struggles against the Shadowlands gain advantage on hold together, and your characters have an additional light wound slot. So this is just the nod to being the warriors. That's a kind of Hida thing. Keep saying it wrong. Such a Hoosier. And then trade networks, which is the nod to the Yusuki. So at the end of each season, name 2 settlements your traders have linked and draw a road between them. Nobody who moves resources between those places needs to trigger logistics.
Yeah. Logistics is when you're moving a surplus from place to place or pulling dispersed surpluses together.
Okay.
Excellent.
So hopefully that'll work well for making use of what little I have.
Absolutely.
These are
Tyler.
some about features.
Oh,
Is there something else I was supposed to do, like pick what feature I was supposed to have or something?
let me
Just want to make sure that I didn't miss a step.
let's see.
Features. Oh, that's the clan apart. Got it.
Yeah.
Just so many names for so many things. Got it.
Let's come to our crane. Tyler, tell us about your picks here.
Alrighty. My surpluses and deeds. I have surplus koku, which I keep at doji, and I have surplus culture, which I have dispersed because everyone deserves to see the wonder of grain. My needs are rice trade, and rice.
You need a lot of rice then.
Yeah, I really need some rice. It's not. It's something else. Sorry. There we are. Rice trade luxury. That's the other one.
What? You're low on luxury? What kind of crane clan are you? Wow.
Long suffering.
It is. You've had a hard time.
Oh, it's very unpleasant. I can tell you that.
Oh gosh.
Yes. So here, let me. Oh, there. So luxury. Now customs. Is that right? We need to do.
Yeah.
So the rule is Doshi Niyasoki, who is in strong control of the clan, ruling through cunning. Others see us as manipulators who use beauty as a weapon, but we are the rightful servants, allies, and heirs to the hentai. Our doctrine is beauty for all the world to see. Once per age, you may present another house with a beautiful work of craftsmanship. When you do, give them surplus morale or surplus luxury and get influence over them. We really should just keep some of that and have some luxury ourselves. But, oh well. Feature, we have Voice of the Wind. Your courtiers discreetly share information from far and wide. When anyone visits one of your embassies, they can ask a question about current events elsewhere in the land. The GM will tell you the truth, and you may tell the asker what you wish. Love that move. Love that thing. My inheritance, my characters all get to add either bravery or cunning. The crane often have an earthly beauty, and those who don't make up for it with elegant manners. Take advantage or find common ground in a one-on-one negotiation in a civilized setting where your grace and appearance would apply, because we are pretty and graceful. And the moves, I have Gift of Office. Once per season, you may use your influence to gain an office or position for someone. Roll slight. 10 plus, you succeed, pick 2 effects. 7 to 9, pick 1. On a miss, they gain the office, but there's some sort of scandal dishonor them, and if they're already dishonored, they suffer an extreme punishment. And it gives me some neat things: taking influence, taking NPC as an asset, re-honor a dishonored person, change the person's role with approval if it's a player, and swap a surplus with the clan your appointee comes from. And then I have the grand event. Once per season, you may host a tournament, festival, or ritual of surpassing beauty. Say how the event affects the people in the land and roll plus nearby surpluses. 10 plus, pick 2. 7 to 9, pick 1. On a miss, pick 1. The GM says how the emperor interrupts the proceedings. And they really do cool things. You and anyone who joins celebration gain surplus morale. You may remove 1 turmoil, which is nice. You may secure a marriage between 2 clans. They gain influence upon one another. You may re-honor or dishonor a participant. If you re-honor someone, gain influence on their clan. I think that's super cool. And
Nice.
then I guess my alliance move, when you publicly condemn a group for their lack of proper ritual or civility, hold 1. Publicly absolve them of sins, spend the hold to get influence on them, and only have 1 hold at a time. I'm never quite sure how alliance moves works, but we will see.
Yeah, some of them are easy triggers, and some of them require some active manipulation. Like the crab one is pretty easy. When somebody suffers threat from the Shadowlands, you get influence on them. All right, let's come to the Unicorn Clan. Patrick, tell us about your picks for the Unicorn.
All right. So for surpluses, I went with culture, livestock, and transport. I I thought about taking culture as a need, but that's a very like outsider's view of our house, and I think we have something to share and that people would be interested in. So
Fair
it's a
enough.
surplus. The needs for fortifications and Souts. We really need them Souts.
House.
Scouts. Just because I think a lot of the young riders are gone from the war, and there are a lot of people who would be fearless explorers and scouts who are now like scared to go out into the world where our family keeps dying.
That seems fair.
Let's see. My influence move is when you arrive in time to save a group from a terrible danger, gain influence over them. That's fun. My custom. So the rule is Shinjo Miho. She, her. So the Shinjo family is in charge at the moment. But she has a weak hold. She holds on with her cleverness. Her rival is Motoyasu, who she is the daimyo of the Moto clan. And I think historically the Moto have usually been the family that's in charge of the clan. So this is sort of a modern aberration as the Moto got decimated in the war. Others see us as ignorant barbarians who reject the ways of Rokugan and break taboos at a whim. But we're really samurai who understand Bushido is a tool and appreciate being misjudged by the ignorant. I think they very much see the ways of Bushido and honor as like the more honorable, the more someone follows it, the more predictable their actions will be, and so we can use that to our advantage. Doctrine is communal solidarity. When you comfort a group suffering misfortune, erase one of their needs, which you have as a surplus. And that leaves my surplus alone.
It does.
Ooh, neato. Optionally, move their favor a step towards yours, which is sort of interesting since at the moment my favor is negative. That's an interesting play.
Exactly.
And then the feature is Pride of the Unicorn. Your clan spares no expense to keep your mounted samurai in peak condition. When you prepare and provision surpluses within your holdings, count for double. Inheritances, I get +1 to might or bravery. And I always know how to ride and live off the land. In addition, whenever we look for whenever they look for their mount, it's always someone somewhere nearby, which
Yes.
may have been the sentence that sold me on this clan. Just that idea of like, oh, where's my horse? Oh, there you are, right there.
Awesome. And your moves?
Moves. The strength of the mare. Your herd masters are a mystery cult. So I have the strength of the mare in the house's traditions, can draw on the endurance of the herd, heal a horse of any complaint, or, this was another strong part of a sentence, open the gates to the ancestors' pasture and call through a steed of legend. Fucking yes.
Yeah.
And then the other one is Wonders from Beyond, since we talked about all of their Gaijin and barbarian magics. When you delve deep into your clan's reserve of Gaijin and Meishodo-made items, describe what you seek and what you want it for. And then there will be some downsides to it.
Excellent. These all seem good. We've got one more landmark to put on the thing. So Sherry, from the 3 after the Day of Landmark choices, after the Day of Thunder rather, what do you want to add as one more landmark? You are muted.
Yes, but I was still thinking, so it didn't matter. Let's see here. Refuge where samurais retire in order to suffer but teach. Forge the earth. Yeah, I think it's Forge of the Earth. I think that I haven't done anything that calls forth the Caillou tradition, so I think I do want to acknowledge that with the Forge of the Earth.
So put a mark for that on the map.
All right. Here's the thing is I'm kind of outside all the mountain lines, so I got to go weirdly over. But yes, I will do this thing.
Okay. And then Tyler, what about for the crane?
I think I'm already setting up a trading city is there, so I don't think I want that. A great library to compile the history and lore lost during the conflict, I
Ooh.
believe. And I think
Compile being right and shape.
well, the victors write the history. And I think I'm going to place that. I'll stick it down here. I think I'm going to place it on the river between Diadoshi and Doshi.
Okay.
I'll do that.
And then, Patrick, what is going to be your landmark that you're going to add?
So I went with the Great Stables, where the pride of the clan's mounts are trained and traded.
Ooh, nice.
And that's part of that like outside world culture that I'm bringing to other people and selling to other people, is these strange breeds of horses that we have. And I went ahead and put it on the map. It's right there, sort of at that crux of the rivers coming together, right at the south of our lands. That seemed like a nice, good trading spot. And I went ahead and put the families in their 3 places. So for Shinjo, for my current one, I went with the sort of river delta land for my family.
I like it. So that gives us a lot of very cool stuff on here. Let me tell you a little bit about the choices that I made for the Emperor. There aren't that many I need to make, but essentially the agenda for Toturi is to be the tyrant they test themselves against. And the 2 moves, essentially the moves in the inheritance. I took the move, the cavalry arrives. When a clan misses a claim by force roll within your borders, the GM may use their reaction to declare the arrival of Imperial troops. Resolve the move like they rolled a 10+, but the leader of forces will say why the Emperor sent them. I think that fits with the Black Lion thing that we established earlier.
That's neat.
And then the inheritance, basically, when we do the Imperial Agent, they get either +1 to Might or Bravery. And I took the Imperial Office benefit. So if someone decides to run the Imperial Agent, when they're in the territory that they control, they have some control over, they get they always roll 10+ on familiar face, essentially to know somebody there or have some pull on someone. So that's kind of a nice thing. So those are our clans. That's our landmarks. The next step that we're going to do is each of us is going to decide on the key character that we want to start this age with. We have several playbooks, and I'll kind of quickly walk through them. We have the samurai, dedicated warrior. We have a shugenja, meaning the magic user. Note that each family begins with a ritual that they know. The shugenja gives you more access to rituals and can do more with them. The courtier, classic negotiator type. We have a merchant. We have a scout. We have a priest/monk. We have a magistrate. And then if you want your character to just be kind of the daimyo, a leader of one of your families, you can do that one. Probably should have people, at least for this first part, do different playbooks for their characters just because it's kind of more fun that way. Sherry, do you have a strong feeling about that, about what you'd like to do, or do you want to narrow it down to a couple?
I think, oof. This is always hard. Do I want to do this? I might go with actually courtier. Like,
Now, Tyler's also looking at courtier, so we
oh,
got
okay,
the
sorry.
two of that.
Then I can do scout. I mean, she's Haruma, so scout is the classic. I was
Yeah.
just doing something for a while. She would be out and interacting with other folks. So, okay, I can do scout, not a problem.
Tyler, I saw by the look on your face, I think the courtier is what you were leaning
I was
towards.
thinking courtier, but if you really want to, I could do a Diamo. I could do.
No, that's fine. Let's just stick with the classics and see how that works. So there's certain things that you're like, oh, this seems a little awkward to do these kinds of swords with, but let's see. So give it a try.
What would you like?
Shugenja.
Shugenja, there we go.
Oh no, the poor Phoenix. What are they gonna do?
We've got still lots of things for those.
No, they're all
families.
Shugenja, or they're
No, they are not all Shugenja.
Well, then he should have been here to stake his claim.
Yes.
But I do have a plan to move out of it, so I will start as a Shugenja and move to somewhere else, and he can build towards the magic if he wants.
So
We love you, Scott.
So you're going to pick your stats. You're going to pick one of the roll moves for your character, and that's a thing that'll trigger at the start. And you're going to pick. There are some moves for your character. Most of them are pick two, but some of them have take this and then take another one. Once you've got those decisions made, then we'll have people introduce their characters, and then we'll do those backstory connections. One of the benefits, I think, to having everyone take a different clan too in this is it's meant that Patrick couldn't take Sherry's picture and gank it out from under her.
That's true.
It's a distinct benefit.
For me. How many times did you do that?
It's just a mark that you have excellent taste.
Oh, Lord.
And the roll moves are something you'll set now, just like make the pick. And then when we actually start, we'll figure out what that actually means, like what is going on with that, what's happening, and trigger that the very start of play. So I've started with Tyler and I've started with Sherry on various points in this. So Patrick, this time I'm gonna start with you. Tell us about your character. You have a name for them. This is great.
I do. that NPC fluff generator just keeps on giving. Just kept hitting refresh until I hit a Shinjo. Asakaru. He, him. He is a Shugenja of the Unicorn Clan. Scrappy might, but cunning and lore are nice.
You took your inheritance from your clan, added that in?
Oh, I have not. Blah, blah, blah. Inheritance. Might or bravery. We'll keep might low, but I'll take that bravery up.
Okay.
So roll, I went with radical.
Okay.
Mark when you seek the tutelage of a kami oracle or other similar being. Say what way you're warped by the pilgrimage in mind or body. GM says what you'll need to win their approval.
Ooh, that'll be fun for us to decide. That'll be neat.
I like it. Moves. I know one of them because I got it automatically, which is the way of the Shugenja. And I have weird gear options and spells and magic items that I can call on, and I can use magical effects to color other moves as well. And then get I'm the Shugenja is the one that can enact a ritual with advantage, where everybody else sort of has a rough time with it.
And we have essentially, there are two sort of ways to this. Is you're going to start with a ritual that you choose that your clan knows. That, okay, when we do this one, boom, this is the one we're super easy on. But you'll also, as a Shugenja, be able to enact a ritual, which is the thing where you go, okay, I think I want to do a ritual that does this. And kind of make up a thing on that.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's easier to do one that your clan knows. If you're doing one that you're kind of making up on the fly, it's a little more challenging. But we'll come back to that.
Gotcha. So, well, in the character playbook picks, here we go. The Way of the Earth. One of the parts in it, when you enact a ritual in this area, roll with advantage. Don't I already roll with advantage on enact a ritual?
You roll with advantage on the ritual that your clan knows. That's the way it should be. Like here's what it is if your clan knows one of those specified rituals, the one that you choose from the rituals list, this is the way it ought to be written. You always roll that one with advantage.
Okay.
So we've got those like the echoes on the breeze, walking the way they're down the bottom of that. Those are ones that your clan like knows is easy for you to do. Otherwise, when you're just rolling, I think, Lol, I want this to happen, and I want to try for this effect, then you roll normally. But that move would allow you to roll with advantage.
Thank you. Gotcha.
And Lowell, I see that the Shugencha can they can learn new rituals. Those become clan rituals when they learn them, or
Exactly.
they get the
That's the whole
advantage?
thing. Yeah.
Okay.
When you go to learn a ritual, that becomes one that your clan then knows. And the way it works is just like you would go to I'm going to go and do a thing to get a surplus, do a process, do some moves to get it. You can do that to get yourself a new ritual for your family. I've got 10 pre-written rituals in there, 2 for each of the elements. But if you want to come up with new ones that you would have as sort of picture it like rotes in Ars Magica. They're ones that you kind of know definitively.
So we didn't go through and choose what our clans have. Is that only for the Shugenja clans, or do all clans have those?
All clans will know one ritual at the start.
Okay, but all right. So, but we didn't choose those. Should we choose those?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. You can choose them now, or you can choose them on the fly. I'm good either way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to go with the Way of Fire for the other one, which is when you demand someone honor promises they made. Don't roll find common ground. Instead, roll lore and give them a curse until they do it.
That seems brutal.
But they shouldn't have not been doing things they promised to do.
Perfect.
That's the real rudeness.
Haruma Raiko, tell us about your character.
So Haruma is a scout, and she's a scout that the clan typically actually sends out more because she's had some Yasuki training. She can speak politely and not cause great offense. She sort of chafes at it, but it's what she's been asked to do. She is pretty classical Haruma to see her, but she actually is a daughter of one of the Ronin that the Haruma took in from among Totori's army. There were those of his army that didn't go back with him because they'd seen too much of the Shadowlands, and they couldn't go back, is how they felt. So the Haruma took them in, and she was a family member of one of those and came to the Haruma lands, and she was fortunate and skilled and clever and found a place for herself. So I don't know if that's particularly helpful.
Nice.
I took for the role to start here is leader, because it sounds like I get to set the agenda for the first story arc thing that we do as characters.
You said expedition, and you have an objective, a thing that you're going to get, and the GM tells you how you would go about doing that.
Okay. And then let's see here, what else? And then my moves are range far and wide, so I can travel across great distances far faster than others would expect. If I'm not in the current scene, I can roll a plus bravery to appear from an unexpected direction. Of course, there's some not so great things that happen if I don't roll spectacularly, but otherwise it's pretty funny. And then know your adversary, which is when I have the time and advantage point to study my foe unobserved. I gain hold equal to bravery. I should have just doubled up on my bravery. Oh,
You feel free to make those changes around if you need to.
yeah, so you get multiple moves that are using it. You're like, maybe that's where
Maybe I'll
go.
invest heavily in it. Makes sense.
Yeah. So at any time, spend one of the hold to do one of the following: remove a key weapon from my enemy, separate my target from their allies, shut down an action the target is making, or identify what you need to do to take them down. I particularly took this because, though it's very martial sounding, it doesn't say that it has to be a martial situation.
Absolutely.
So
which brings us to Doji Satsumi.
Yes. Let's see. I guess I'm giving out all my stuff. I have a might pretty bad, and a bravery is, but my cunning is quite high, and I have a bit of lore. My death move as I die, when you pass a letter, you may pass a letter to a companion. This letter can contain a piece of valuable information, a message which obligates the recipient to do something, a map to a secret treasure or location, or anything else important with the GM's approval. I am a champion. Mark when you're sent to bring peace between two groups. Say who your contacts are in each, and the GM will say what grudge is keeping them apart. My moves, I have razor tongue to take advantage when you engage in a courtly, artistic, or scholarly duel with an NPC. And sly words, like all successful politicians, you know how to exploit the weaknesses of others. When you use someone's shameful or illicit secrets as leverage, one of the requirements they pick for find common ground must be you promise to keep the secret hidden.
Oh, I like that one. I like that one quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So that gives us the characters. We're now going to do the backstory. That'll establish connections between the characters, how we know one another. And then after that, we're going to make some decisions about the Imperial Agent. So Shinju Hukaru, basically, as standard procedure for backgrounds and bonds, you can offer them out for someone. Hey, maybe you want to do this. The net effect of a backstory question is if you're in an interaction, you can ask that, oh, I think this backstory might help out, and I can ask for advantage on this. That's the mechanical effect of backstories. It gets forgotten more often than not. So, Patrick, want to offer out one of those backstories, or do you have one that you think would be perfect for someone?
So I think I'm gonna save the first one for Phoenix.
Okay.
I don't understand how blank can do the things that they do. Just because if I'm going to be dabbling in the magic area, I want to figure out how my outsider barbarian magics are different from his very imperial magics.
Nice.
So I'll offer this one out to either of you, but I want to teach blank what's truly important.
I'm young. I'll take that.
Okay. Reiko?
Yeah, Hirumo Reiko.
Scout. Yeah, I think at least from my end, you're a scout. You're out there exploring the hidden places of the world, and while that's enthralling and a big adrenaline rush when you find something cool, there are incredible dangers out there in the world. Maybe you shouldn't scout quite so far, I think.
Didn't lick that. Okay, got it.
And then desperately appropriate, the last one, if you want to hand that off to Tyler.
Yes, I don't think blank knows I know what they did.
But I bet it was awesome. What you think I did?
I'm not sure.
Well, you think it was something sneaky or violent or just sort of shameful?
Or generous and they want to keep it hidden.
Exactly.
I don't know if you strike me as the violent type exactly.
Probably not very good at it if I did.
Bring peace, but why don't we figure it out? I'll tie it somehow into that champion role you have. Mark,
Okay.
when you sent to bring peace between two groups.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
something underhanded or unknown that you did in relation to that, and maybe we can figure it out more when you figure out what that role means.
Excellent.
That seems perfect. Sherry, let's come to your backstory.
Sure. So I have Plank taught me how to survive in a unique environment. And while it would abuse me, actually, I'm going to say this. Satsumi Doji taught me something about a unique environment, at least for a crab. And I think he gave me some of the basics for moving through some of those posh, cranny things, like just so that people don't go after me. So
Love
it
it.
taught me to keep my head down. So
Perfect.
Or up, as the case may be.
yeah, exactly. Whatever it is, so that I blend in. So, and then, and I think I like the one for Hikaru, that you taught me something new about the virtue of sincerity, because I think that unicorn sincerity is very different than sort of that sincerity as a face you have to put on and that you have to cultivate. Like that there's a way of walking through the world with that sort of radiating towards the world itself, not towards other people. And does that make any sense? That it's not
Yeah,
just a social construct?
yeah. I sort of like the idea that Hikaru at least sees the like sincerity of the court as this very like dour, serious mask that one wears when one feels that it's appropriate. But you know, Hikaru is like laughing and joyful and sort of joking through life, but always very true, very honest, very open. It's just that people assume that he's flighty or insincere given his nature.
Nice. And then we'll save the last one. And again, when Scott describes his character, if that doesn't fit, we'll find another backstory. So
And I'll put maybe next to that, like I might change that because it does sound kind of rude that I've already decided that, but it was like, it's like that.
which brings us to Tyler, to Doji Satsumi.
Yeah, I have one that's just jumping out at me. And Sherry, tell me what you think of it. I love the one you picked, and I think that this could work well. That Reiko and I have a history that is quite unprofessional. Would you be interested in a bit of romance? We're both young, we're both attractive, and have it maybe, I love the idea that you were with Lion. Well, that's the thing that you are part of with the
Tory with
Toturi.
yeah, I like that. The idea that like we had a period of time where we both kind of maybe slummed around a little, rolled some dice, got away with some stuff.
So that you like that one then?
Yes,
and
very
maybe
much.
there was like that budding bit of romance, and it was, you taking care of me and so many dangerous things, and me trying to take care of you and the more courtly and equally dangerous sort of things.
Exactly.
Cool.
I think that would be fun. And also trying to keep it hidden from everyone when we were around them. So it was very exciting. I like that.
Excellent. Oh, you're doing it for me, Laura. Thank you.
Yes. Wait, I have to put my name there. I was just so excited.
And now, Patrick, which of those two do you like better? They're kind of different. They're very different in what the tone will be between us. One is told me something that was great for my clan and disastrous for theirs. Other is saved my life when negotiations went very wrong.
I like being. I like a slip of the tongue, being indiscreet.
Okay. So you told me something you should not have.
I
Helped
I
me.
can't imagine one of Patrick's characters saying something they shouldn't to someone.
I know it's so outside of believability. For your clan, disastrous for mine. I'm not sure. Do you have an idea of what would be great for your clan?
Um. How about this to go back to our how about that there were some of the unicorns that were very much willing to let the old grudge come back and the ratings begin, and you let me hear about it, and I managed to put some maneuvers on so that they were, that got kiboshed, they got, laughed at and that sort of thing. We had the march on them, so to speak, politically rather than military.
I like that. That's good.
Nice.
Either I decided or I agreed with my daimyo that it was better to have this stopped before it got worse than to let it rampage.
Excellent.
There are two things that we're going to decide. Last things. These revolve around Emperor Toturi. Emperor Toturi has an agent. This agent is a character that can pop up as an NPC, or when people are doing like let's say we're doing Tyler's thing and other people are making quick characters, somebody could choose to do the Imperial Agent and run them as a character to build them up. It's something we kind of left out a little bit when we played Free from the Yoke last time, so I want to make sure that we lean into it. There are 5 possible Imperial Agents. That is, the first is the Emerald Magistrate, is the agent, essentially the person who enforces the Emperor's justice across the Empire. The second one is the right hand of the Emperor. That's the one who solves problems with violence, bashing heads, exuding threat. The third one is the left hand of the Emperor, the one who serves as the Emperor's mouthpiece and can find the right word to unlock any heart. And then there's the Imperial Herald, the one who can escort valuable assets wherever they need to go and bring the Emperor's will to the furthest borders. Or the Imperial Spiritual Advisor, one who serves as a conduit between the Emperor and the land. Now, I saw Sherry waving off a couple of those. Tyler, if you had to narrow it to 2 of them, I'm going to do this for everybody. If you had to narrow it down to 2 or eliminate 1.
I mean, we, at least with the 3 of us right now, we are desperately not fighting. So I would put in the mix the violence one.
Okay.
And we're going to have 2 pretty magic-y people, so probably don't need the spirit advisor. You say there was the magistrate type and...
Magistrate.
Right hand, left hand.
Left hand, who is a little more
And
sneaky
Herald.
one, and the Herald.
The Herald was words and...
The
Transport.
Herald is transport.
Oh, okay.
Left hand was the words that can sway any heart.
Gotcha. I'll throw in the magistrate type then. I like that one.
Patrick, how do you feel about that?
I would take out the right hand of the Emperor just because I'm afraid with the whole Black Lion stuff, I feel like another layer of violence just makes the Emperor very two-dimensional.
Okay.
So.
Sherry, would you be okay with the Imperial Magistrate?
Yes.
They are about scouting and checking things out, and they have a little bit of strength in them. So
They're investigators and the voice of the law, aren't they?
Yeah, which also means that they're a good playable quick character then, I think, actually.
Okay.
So
Nice.
I'm just going to write in Emerald Magistrate.
Actually, I think you're right. They really want when we zero in for people to pick that agent up, and they have such neat things when you take them that they really should be used.
And I will pick out the moves for them and all of that. Now, the other choice that we need to make is at the start of the game, Emperor Toturi has something they want. And we will decide for this first age what that generally is. We don't have to decide the specifics of it yet. We're decide the generalities of it. Here are the possible projects. And so I'm going to go through them. One is a grand construction. Toturi is drawing architects, engineers, masons to create something big, like a new fortress, like a new wall, like a great bridge, like roadworks, something like that. Second, expansion. The land isn't big enough for the emperor's ambitions. Bit by bit, or in one grand annexation, they mean to swell their nation's size, which would mean going overseas out to island places, or it means into the lands of the Yobanjin, of the barbarians at the borders, or maybe even striking into the Shadowlands, seizing a territory that way. Third one, transformation. There's something about the nation's culture that the emperor wishes to alter, either through education or chastisement, incentives, or strong arm oppression. They would try to reshape society. They want a big cultural change, or a big economic change, or a big social change. Fourth one is open war. Essentially, that's going to open war against like what's left of the Shadowlands, or against like this is not a question of taking lands, but actually defeating the foe that is the barbarians at the edges, or even overseas forces. And then the last one we don't pick, but I just want to mention it, and that's counter-insurrection. That's if any of you get too big for your britches. And that's the point at which the emperor decides that people need to be put down. We don't worry about that one. So we've got 4 to choose from. Sherry, do you have 2 that you think would be good, or one you want to eliminate from the running of the first 4?
Now,
we'll get to shape exactly what this looks like, but this is sort
right.
of generally.
I think there's a thing of that whole building something significant is always attractive.
Okay.
And like particularly because the intent is that, of course, it would be to honor the new emperor, right?
Okay.
I assume. The other thing is, I would be kind of interested in a social order change, like something about. I almost want to say like, well, that's not for me. I would say a social change would be interesting.
Okay.
And then I think that's for other people to decide if that was something they wanted.
Patrick, either of those appeal? One of those you want to take off the table? Something else?
Sherry stole my picture. Those were the exact ones I was going to suggest.
Okay. Tyler, then let's have you split the difference. Of those 2, which one most appeals?
Those would have definitely been the 2 that I would have chosen as well.
I'll tell you what, let's actually, to make things easy, let's start with the grand construction.
Okay.
Because it's a real concrete one, literally and figuratively. And we've played this a little bit before, so we'll kind of move that one ahead, and then if we go to a social change one, we'll maybe have a sense of what kind of social change needs to be made. Does that sound cool?
It's a good idea.
That's perfect.
Okay, so that's the one we're going to go with. That's our characters. That's our clans. Scott, if you want to talk with me or anyone about the characters, if you want, however much you want to put in, you can put it in on the sheet, or we'll help you out at the beginning. Otherwise, if you need to, and that's it. Any questions before we wrap?
It seems
I'm
awesome.
super excited. I'm just kind of knuckle-bitingly excited
I was
about
thinking
this.
some ways this makes like Legacy make more sense for me that we've put the frame on it.
I
Yeah.
really think Free from Yoke helps Legacy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it definitely does.
You know, Rokugan is a nice graspable frame to put on it, but I think there's a lot from the Free from the Yoke that gives you impetus, gives you direction at the beginning of the story,
Hmm.
much better than some other legacies.
Yeah. So yeah, some of the other ones, some of the other world books are really neat, but they go in kind of directions that feel like they're very very focused. Um, uh, um, so yeah, I'm going to stop recording because this is very very cool. I will put in in the show notes that this is all character creation stuff, and if you don't like session 0, you shouldn't watch this.
You should watch it.
But I'm going to stop the recording here.